although it's a coming-of-age film, I think it's got classic appeal. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. And then, like I say, you add those faces of Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, and the music. It's a universal language, and it's music that happens to have been written very well. And the messages, it's that we all know, we're each and every one of those characters. Michael Tucci on a KTLA, Michael Tucci played Sonny in the movie, we just did an interview. He said that we all can identify with each and every one of those characters. I think that's in great part why it continues to appeal from generation to generation, because of the universality of it.
It also came at a time, I think, when we were ready for some nostalgia. You know, Happy Days was very successful.
Henry Winkler.
American Graffiti. Yeah. American Graffiti had come out just prior. So I think you know, bringing musicals out, nobody, I mean, Randall, you could probably really tell us about that a little bit. They weren't sure that it was going to be a successful movie.
Nobody thought that Grease was going to be a big hit when we made it. You know, there were other movies shooting on the lot at the same time, Heaven Can Wait, Going South, and they thought those were going to be big hits, especially Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. They thought that was going to be the big hit. And at their wrap party, they had caviar and champagne, and at ours, we had hot dogs.
I think also heart. I think there's a whole lot of heart in this movie, and I think that a lot of the time when your heart is engaged, it's a heartbreaking story. But this is funny, and there's a lot of laughs, and you can't get a lot of laughs in many movies. And so I think the combination of the heart and the humor has a lot to do with it. Of course, song and dance. And you know these relationships that you see in this movie, when you see how we all love each other?
Yeah.
It was true. It's the truth. Be together.
It's a labor of love.
Barry, why don't you talk about, you know, being in the Broadway show, the National Company, and
Don't push me around, Jamie.
Jamie.
Both Jamie and I were in the play.
Yeah.
With the same roles?
Well, that's an interesting question, Eddie.
I was really Frenchy. I had the voice and everything. That's what I heard. I heard you were very Frenchy.
You're a good hearer. No, but actually, have any of you seen the play? Yeah. So you have that frame of reference. I played Sonny on the national tour. I replaced Michael Lembeck in the role of Sonny. And basically what I'm doing in the film is Sonny. Michael Tucci, who plays Sonny in the film, was actually playing Roger from the play. He was actually our understudy in the national tour. Roger sings the song Mooney, which you hear in the background, because none of us sang the songs that the characters sang in the play. Kelly Ward, who plays Putz, is really playing Duty from the play. The underling, the wide-eyed. 15 minutes, is that all it'll take?
Why
What's that mean?
was Roger not in the film?
Well, they wanted to use the name Putsy, first of all. But then, why, good question. You're good at good questions.
Yes.
How do you declare that?
The guy who wrote it, Bronte Woodard, didn't see the play, so he just mixed everybody up.
Seriously, really?
That's what happened.
Yeah, and so, and those of us that had done the play were very confused. But we were also told that we hadn't a shot at the movie. That we weren't going to be contenders, and we were. Now, Jamie has an experience with the play as well.
I have a simple answer. Yes, Jan on Broadway. Yeah, I had done the play 7 years before I did the movie. And so I think, you know, we knew each other. It was a community, and we knew each other. A number of us knew each other because we were in the same realm, even if we weren't in the same shows. But a lot of us had done Grease together before. So I really think a lot of the things that you see would be hard to have come up with if you just showed up on a set.
Absolutely, and that helped me a lot, because I was a newcomer to Grease, and these guys who had been on Broadway knew where the laughs were, knew the timing, knew the little subtleties, and they all threw them in and helped me out.
Randall, how did they pick you? How did you get to be the director?
John, I worked with...
Thanks, Andy. What's the next question?
That's his job.
You're a regular James Lipton, you know that.
Good question. Well, I directed John and Boy in the Plastic Bubble. Anybody see that movie? After I did that, he asked me to direct Grease. Let's ask, have you asked a question?
Well, Andy, do you have any other questions?
No.
That's my last question.
No, I was going to say that Jamie came up with the Brusha, Brusha, Brusha. That in the script it had what, Loretta Young coming down the staircase. Well, the first line in that scene, the pajama party scene, was my line, and it was look at what Loretta Young is wearing, and it was like people. That's not. And I want to sing a little, and it would be nice to be funny and singing at the same. And there had been in the play there had been a reference to Bucky Beaver, completely different thing, a different scene. But I was always able, because I had prominent teeth, not anymore. No, but I had Bucky teeth. And so that when Roger, the character that was Roger, would say on stage, say Bucky Beaver, I would go like that and people would laugh because I look kind of like the beaver. And so we talked about it, and I said there was something funny in that, and Randall said,
I remembered this iPad commercial I saw when I was a kid, and so we tracked it down and put it together, found the video.
and I rehearsed it right on the set. Randall had a monitor for me to learn the beaver's lines, and I did it, and Randall said, I think I can work, but ask the girls, see if the girls like it. And so I did it for the girls, and they loved it, and I think maybe Dinah threw that pillow, though, and...
Yeah, a lot of improvisation on the set of Grease, but all these people just threw ideas in, and I incorporated them.
Yeah. He gave us such freedom and support, and it was such a collaborative experience for all of us, that every so often it would seem a little like, wow, this is, like you can see on this panel, this is getting a little out of control, because we're all so energetic. I mean, 40 years later, and we're all still like this, you know, and I think it was like Randall could never calm us down, because that wasn't the nature of the piece, was for us to be that. It was like, and besides, we weren't really 15. And so that energy, we still have, and still do have that kind of energy. And Barry improvised the line about the pineapple.
You know what? How I remember that is that I think it was Randall and me. I can remember us standing there, and we didn't know what was going to be said there, and so I said, "You look like a beautiful blonde," or you said "beautiful blonde." Either I added pineapple or you added pineapple, but it was a collaboration. And quite honestly, I thought, all right, okay, fine. Pineapple is funny. It's silly, but then that gets ingrained, and people remember that very
But you
moment.
don't remember something. I hated that pineapple dress.
Yeah.
And that pineapple hair. I had tried on that dress until it was that morning. And I was so upset. I didn't feel Frenchie would wear that, and I didn't like the hair. So you knew I was upset, so I think that's where you would try to cheer me up.
I love when I wear that class with the gold.
Yeah.
Now let me just also say that something that Eddie and Lorenzo. Hi, good to see you.
Hello, Bear.
So you guys are actually, they're both a compilation of the and when you say Jamie, they're a compilation of the Eugene from the film, from the play. Because
Eugene in the play has a bigger part.
he's a much bigger part, and he comes on to Rizzo and winds up at the end, well, kind of with nobody, actually.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, and he goes, not even Cha-Cha.
And all kinds of stuff.
Cha-Cha in the play was not a beautiful Latina as our dear late Annette
And
was.
Jan would eat all the time.
And Anne was, that's right. But you guys, the Tom Chisholm role was a new
We
role.
invented that because we wanted to use Lorenzo.
That's right.
Oh, and when we saw Lorenzo, oh my God.
Even I!
interesting story. So I escorted my mother to the Academy Awards in 1977. It was the year that Rocky won Best Picture. And Shirley Eater was a very, very successful New York publicist at the time. And she was a friend of my mother's. So at the Governor's Ball, which happens after the award ceremony, Shirley Eater comes up to my mom's table to say hello. And she goes, Arlene, Alan Carr is at the table over there. He's producing the movie musical Grease. I think you should bring Lorenzo over to meet Alan Carr. So we get up from the table, we walk over to Alan Carr's table. Alan Carr immediately stands up, recognizes my mom, and says, Arlene, what a pleasure, so nice to meet you. My mom, without a beat, said, hi Alan, this is my son Lorenzo, he's going to be a big star, you should put him in your movie. I was 19 years old, and I was totally embarrassed. But fast forward, 6 months later, they were casting the movie, and I guess Stephen Ford, President Ford's son, had been originally cast as Tom. Something happened there that scheduling conflict or something, so I got the call from my agent that Alan Carr wants to meet me. So I walk into Alan Carr's office, Paramount Studios. This is a kid who grew up with a crush on Olivia Newton-John and thought I was John Travolta in Welcome Back, Kotter. I'm on the lot at Paramount, this big dumb kid, and I walk into Alan's office, and I remember meeting him, of course, and he said, Lorenzo, we don't really have anything for you with a line, but would you be comfortable playing an athlete? And I said, sure. He goes, one thing, we'd like to dye your hair blonde because you look too much like John with the dark hair. And I said, what color would you like? And he goes, well, just blonde. I said, fine. So I got the movie, I walked on the lot. That first morning, you guys had already been in rehearsals. You were a family already. And I can tell you how comfortable you all made me feel coming into this. Not a dancer, not a singer, just a kid with an amazing opportunity. And it was history. We really made history.
You know what, Lorenzo, though? In the last scene, you dance, you move out there. That last scene where you're in the carnival, you're moving with the dancers. You
Well,
can
I think
dance.
the crew was pulling a cable. I was just jumping out. Thank you.
I actually have a question I wanted to ask you about the role of the coach, which Sid Caesar ended up playing. I have read somewhere that there was interest in somebody else.
Yes, the Alan Carr wanted to use Harry Reams, who was the star of Deep Throat. Paramount did not like that idea, and so they said no way. And but Alan felt so bad about it that he gave Harry Reams a check for $5,000 out of his own pocket. And then
That's more than we made.
And then we got Sid Caesar, who was wonderful from your show of shows and all those wonderful.
Another thing that I saw in my research, which I didn't need to bother with you, but seriously, did Travolta make casting suggestions?
Well, he definitely wanted Olivia, that's for sure. And I think he had worked with you guys, you and you.
He definitely wanted me.
Yeah, I think he wanted to use people from the play, and he wanted to use Olivia, and he wanted to use me. So in a way, he sort of helped put the whole thing together.
And with Olivia, also because she was Australian, and I read somewhere that they were thinking of maybe not using her voice.
Well, we asked her if she could learn an American accent, and she said, I don't think so. So we just changed her name to Sandy Olsen instead of Sandy Dombrowski, like in the play, right? Yeah. Especially for her.
I'm going to ask one general question, then I'll take some questions from the audience. So what does it feel like these years later, getting together, reuniting as it seems like a family that you guys are, and people come up to you and tell you how much they appreciated the work you did?
I'll tell you, there was a girl who came up to me today who said that, I don't know if she's here, but Rachel, are you here? Rachel? No? Okay, she had a heart transplant as a kid, and she said that she watched Grease 5 times a day to cheer her up.
Came up to me and said the same thing. These are the gifts that transcend the paycheck. These are, truly, I mean, in all seriousness, these are the perks that, at the time, first of all, we had no idea that the film would become the success that it has. And anybody that tells you they knew that their project was, and they had that crystal ball, I'd like to take them to Vegas. Because nobody knew.
No, listen, we didn't ask for points, you know.
Yeah, right. But these kinds of things, based on the question you're asking, where people come up and tell us, you have any idea how often I've seen the film and what you've done for me? And I was depressed when I watched that film, and all of a sudden I'm feeling better. It's just has become that kind of thing, which has, again, these are the gifts that we're given way past those paydays, you know. So that's been an amazing gift for each and every one of us. I'm sure we all have stories like that.
I want to say two things, if I can remember two things. One of those things is that there was no way to know how this would be because there weren't even videos, you know? You could just see a movie once or twice while it was in the theater, so we never knew everybody would know all of our lines and all of that stuff. So but what's really touching is, I remember after 9/11, it was in the New York Times, they were saying, how are people comforting themselves? And it was watching one of 3 movies, and Grease was one of those movies that they watched. The other thing is, I find myself welling up with tears, meeting so many of you with your stories, and it's almost like every year that goes by, it becomes more meaningful. That our connection, because we realize that the people we did this for, who were you, really feel that. And the other thing is, among ourselves, we loved each other when we did this movie. Now, every year, it deepens and broadens, and we care more about each other than we ever did. And I think partly losing some of us already makes it even more poignant that we're here. We see each other for the first time when we come to something like this. And some of us, it's been a really long time since we've seen each other. And it's huge. It's huge. And I think it's because you guys are appreciating it every day, all the time, that we are still connected all the time. John said that to me once. I said, I haven't seen you in a long time. He said, Jamie, we're always together because people see us together. And that means that we are, in a sense, always together.
So I'm going to take a few questions from the audience. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
I have one. On Facebook, there's been a lot of talk about this. There's this one that Skippery left, that Sandy had drowned and died. I just wanted to know your opinions on it.
That's not how I saw the movie. No. That's, some fan came up with that. No, not true.
It's an urban legend.
Well, guess what? In this new 40th anniversary edition, there are bonus features. Now, I've got a question for you. Does Danny and Sandy kiss at the beginning, right? Do they ever kiss the whole movie? No. Wait till you see the bonus.
Well, in the drive-in, does he try to kiss? Well, you know, it's off camera.
No. In this bonus, should I tell you? Well, just let me tell you that what Jamie's saying is true, that I think they cast us because we're all a bunch of goofballs, you know? And we still are, right? But no, so, anyway. At the end, you know, when they're going up, and they turn around and look back at all of us, in this other version, they're going up, and John looks over at Olivia and pulls her and gives her the juiciest kiss. I was like, I'm gonna get that kiss from that girl no matter what.
Olivia doesn't pull away. I don't know why. I don't know why we didn't use that ending. That's crazy because it was a much better ending. Yeah.
Well, Dee Dee, does Frankie Avalon come down and scoop you up?
No, he had work to do with
You know, it's really also amazing when we all went into the Hollywood Bowl. There's 17,000 people dressed as the characters, and we're doing it again on the 30th of June. 30th of June. Again.
You do that every year, Dee Dee? Is that right? You only did it once.
See how special it is to have all these guys here? This is great. Does anyone, another question? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that this movie, from the day it came out, I saw it in the theaters 4 times as a kid, and then my whole life watched it, and now being able to share it with my daughter, and my granddaughter, and you guys, thank you. That's all I can say.
Very beautiful.
Back there. Get them with the glasses right there. Yeah.
My question is, in the play, the boys gang was the Burger Palace boys. So
Correct.
Was there any, any version of the play where they became the T-Birds, or was that?
No, not in the play.
Okay.
They could have been called the Frosty Palace Boys. That sounds a little frou-frou. So, right, Randallson became a teacher.
The woman in blue, yes. You.
I was wondering if you mingled at all with Sean on Na, where they kind of learned me on set. Any stories, any groupies?
I had a girlfriend at the time.
I remember Lorenzo. I remember girls like Lorenzo. Lorenzo and I were roommates. And is this right, Lorenzo? I remember him coming in with a girl having a girl on each side. I have that memory.
No lines, but plenty of girls. Is that how it went?
No names. No names.
I had a funny experience with Sha Na Na just a couple of years ago. We don't see them usually. They don't come to our events and things. But my daughter had a broken leg and had to go to try to get her to one of the best surgeons in LA to take care of it. And I walked into the surgeon's office and there were grease pictures all over the place. And I thought, where am I going? And I asked, and I found out that the surgeon, who was one of the great surgeons, was one of the Sha Na Na guys.
Oh my God. No way.
That was interesting.
Yes, in a striped shirt.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
How did you get involved with Grease?
It was a regular audition. I went in, it was a casting call literally like as big as this room. There were all the guys who were dressed as Fonzie, and all the girls were in poodle skirts. I was the only nerd there. I had my little Pee Wee Herman suit. So I go in. Randall was there, Alan Carr, our producer, and Joel Thurm, our casting director, were there. And as I was reading, I did my lines, and I noticed they nudge. As an actor, you know if you're doing good at an audition. And one of the guys nudged me like that. So I saw that at the portal, and I go, I know I'm doing good, because he nudged him. And then later and then this is the true story. This is a religious story, you can believe it or not, but it's true. I got the role of Eugene, they cast me. Then later they called my agents, they said, we're cutting Eugene out of the movie, you're not gonna be in it. So I was really sad. So I went with I'm Jewish, but my agent took me to church, literally. She said, we're gonna light candles. We lit candles in the church, and then they called the next day, they said, we're putting Eugene back in, you're back in the movie.
Woo-woo story in that way too. When I had first become part of the Grease culture, the show had come through Pittsburgh where I was going to school, and friends of mine would constantly tell me how much I reminded them of their friend Michael Lembeck, who had gone to school with them in LA, and how we played the same roles, in the same plays. And when Grease came through Pittsburgh, a friend of mine was in it, and he said, you gotta come down and see the show. So I went down and saw it, and Michael Lembeck was in it, playing Sonny. And he comes out backwards, and he turns around with that first line about old lady Lynch having her for English again. And when he turned around, it was like watching myself. So the next day I got on the phone with my agent, I said, you gotta get me an audition for this play, there are gonna be replacements. And within a week, I was in New York auditioning, general audition. A week later, he broke his ankle. So they had me come back.
Did you put a banana peel on?
Yes. Yes. I've never confessed that before, but yes. So they wanted me to come back. I went back. I got the gig, but they wanted me to come right away to Toronto, where they were. But I couldn't. I had 2 weeks of school to finish. So they said, well, come up to Detroit. So I went up to Detroit, and basically what my role was, I understudied the understudy, the guy that went on for him. And that was my sole job, is to learn the role of Sonny. So and Mary Lou Henner was in it. She was playing Marty. Travolta was playing Duty at the time, and Jeff Conaway was playing Zuko. And towards the end of the 3 weeks that I was there, I asked the guy playing Kinnicky, Jerry Zaks, very famous Broadway director these days. I said, hey, can you pretend like you're sick so that the understudy would go on to Kinnicky and then I could slip in as Sonny? He goes, well, yeah, if stage management says it's okay. Well, I knew that wasn't going to happen. He comes back to me and they said no. A couple days later, May 19th of 1973, Saturday morning, I get a call in my room saying, you're going on as Sonny, Jerry Zaks is sick. So it was probably all set up. I'm thinking that it was a ruse. You know, they wanted to see what I could do anyway. So that was May 19th of 1973. I stepped on stage for the first time as Sonny. May 19th of that was 1973. May 19th of 1976, I got the role of Duty in the movie. That's our anniversary, May 19th.
Anyone on this side of the room? Because... Yes?
I read a while back that originally in the Grease Lightning scene, it was supposed to be centered around Kinnicky. Is there any merit to that? And if there is, what was the change about? What happened?
Because John was such a big star from Saturday Night Fever, he had a lot of power, and of course everybody wanted to feature him. So we switched the Grease Lightning song to him, and it was kind of sad for Jeff, but that's the way Hollywood works.
It was Kinnicky's song in the play. It was his car.
And Jeff had played Zuko in the national tour. So he had gone from Zuko to Kinnicky, but at least he had Grease Lightning until he didn't. But
Randall, I remember you told me that was the hardest thing you ever had to do in your career, was break the news to Jeff.
Well, yeah, I think Alan had made that decision, and so we had to tell Jeff. But, you know, he still had a great run, and we all loved him very much, and we all went to see him when he was sick.
Yes, we did.
That was one of the greatest things. Barry arranged it. One of the greatest days ever.
And I must tell you, with all due respect to the brilliance of John in the film, I mean, he's the best. He is Zuko. As I mentioned to you, my first experience with Grease was with Jeff playing Zuko. In my world, he was the definitive Danny Zuko. And in my life, he was Danny Zuko. We grew up together in New York, and he was the bad boy in New York. And so he was that character inside and out. But he manifested that in his portrayal of Kinnicky, which made that role as brilliant as it was.
I know you had a question.
You and I have a mutual friend, Richard Skipper. Oh, nice! And I go to a Christmas party every year, and he takes us Christmas caroling around your neighborhood. So imagine my surprise when you open the door and I was singing to you. Pleasure to sing Christmas carols to you.
She's talking about a mutual friend, and she sang Christmas carols, and Dee opened the door. That's for those in the back.
Somebody back there. Yeah.
I was wondering why some of the songs were changed from the play, pushed to the background music, and then some were just changed completely, like You're the One That I Want isn't in the play.
well, it is now.
Well, yeah, the original.
Right. Well, we thought that we needed to have some new songs that were fresh and that the actors could play better. I mean, you know, like You're the One That I Want was written for the movie, and we're so happy that it worked so well. But It's Raining on Prom Night was the song that Olivia was going to sing. I wanted to shoot it like singing in the rain, with rain coming down on her, like in the lyrics. But I was talked out of it because Alan Carr didn't want to see her with mascara running down her face. So we switched over to Hopelessly Devoted to You, which was written for it too. So it was all designed just to make the musical, you know, have songs that could be hits, and they turned out that they were hits.
Oh, funny thing about that too is in the play, they never cared for All Choked Up. Even all choked up was the "You're the one that I want" in the play, which I love. But they never really liked that even then. You know, and also in all, "You're the one that I want." Remember, you brought that out to us on the set. We didn't have that. We were not singing it. I mean, which you see us singing, but that's not us singing. They had recorded it prior to, and they brought it out on the set, and Pat Birch choreographed it there. He set up the shots like on the fly, so it was a rather improvisational situation. Yeah.
One last question. I'll let you guys go.
Hi, great seeing you all together again. I hate to say it, but Grease was the key movie of the summer after I graduated high school. So, but do you have any comment on the casting of Stockard Channing? Because if there was any criticism that I remember from the time of the film was that she clearly looked the oldest of you guys passing for high school students. So I was just wondering if there were other actresses that were being considered as well.
I think Lucy Arnaz was considered, and Alan Carr was the manager of Stockard, and he really wanted her to play it. And I'm so glad that we used Stockard because, you know, she did such a great acting job in it. And when she was singing the song, there were worse things I could do. That you can see that she's acting every beat out. Wanted to approach it like Lady Macbeth. So.
Did any actors from the movie actually star on the Broadway show?
I did the tour. You did the Broadway show, Jamie, did you not?
I
No?
did.
Yeah. Tucci might have done the Broadway show too for a minute. Yeah.
I was the first replacement on Broadway for Jan. And okay, I'm going to tell you something real quick because I think it's kind of wild. I was fired. Yeah, I didn't tell you that before. Yeah. The story was that the person who originated the role of Jan is a woman named Garn Stevens, who never did, you know, is not an actress anymore. But she was also the girlfriend of Barry Bostwick, the original Zuko, who was great. And she played it, and she got a part in another Broadway show. And so they needed a new Jan, and I came in as one of the very first replacements as it went to Broadway, from off-Broadway. And I signed a 6-month contract. They wanted me to sign a 1-year contract, but I signed a 6-month contract. And as we got to the end of 6 months, she had been fired from the show that she left to do. And I had the feeling this could be a little funny for me, so I went in and asked if they were going to pick up my contract that I would stay on. They said yes. And then Garn came in, and she played Frenchie because the girl playing Frenchie was doing a movie, and she was on stage with me, Garn, when I got a pink slip in my mailbox backstage, which everybody else had gone to London. Richard Gere, who had been the understudy, was now playing Danny Zuko in the first London production. And everybody had left, the director, this was not Randall, other people, you know, they all left. And here was this pink slip, and I had 2 weeks left in the job. And I was playing on stage with Garn as Frenchie. With Garn, and everybody, as I would walk backstage from one side to the other, the rest of the cast would look at me like, oh, it's like, don't look at me like that, I'm trying to forget this is happening. And Garn would be, I have to say, kind of looking at me like, Eddie, that's a costume, you know, I'm going to need a different sweater, and you know, had that look. She was very sweet, but it was very hard on me. And I had never been let go from anything, and even though I understood it was that she had done it originally and lost her job, I felt like maybe I wasn't good enough, even though I was doing my best. So that, but now the good part of this story is I'm kind of the Jan that people remember. Picture is going to be when you get knocked down in your life and you think there's no, you know, how could this have happened? You never know in the big picture Because if I hadn't been through that and done that before, I don't think I could have done Jan the way that I did in the movie. And I'm admitting the truth.
We have no more time for questions, I'm so sorry. But let's thank everyone for showing